कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण माता दी।
हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय, श्रीला
जय।
प्रभुपाद की जय।
जय।
हरि बोल। थैंक यू वसुधा माता जी। हरे कृष्णा।
थैंक यू माता दी।
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु, प्रणाम।
Hare Krishna, then pronounce to you.
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु, over to you प्रभु।
Thank you, Mataji. So, Hare Krishna to all the devotees. Then pronounce. I hope my voice audio is clear.
Dandavat pranams. Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, thank you. So, today we'll get started with the Bhagavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudirayet Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripatam Aham Vande Sri Guru Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Hare Krishna. Okay, nice to see all the hands already raised. Thank you so much. I'll try to share the shlokas for today. Yeah. So today we'll be looking at the third canto, 16th chapter, verses, no, not 15, I think 11 to 15. Yeah, from shloka number 11 onwards till 15.
12 to 15, Prabhu.
Sorry, 12 to 15, yeah. From 12 to 15. Okay, so the first one, I'll just read once, and then after that, then we can take turns trying to read the shloka, and then the purport, I mean the translation, translation, yeah. Tanme svabarthuravaşayam alakşamano yusmadvyatikramaгаtim pratipadya sadyaha bhuyo mamantikam itam tad anugraho me yat kalpatham achirato vrithayor vivasaha. So, who would like to try this verse?
Vasudha Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, then let's pronounce to you.
Tanme svabhatur avasayam alakshama ano yusmad vyatikrama-gatim pratipadya sadhya bhuya maman antikam itam tad anugraho me yat kalpatam achirato mritayor vivasaha.
Thank you so much, Madaji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Suma Mataji, translation.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you, Mataji. Dandavat Pranams Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. The translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Prabhupada ki jai. These servants of mine have transgressed against you, not knowing the mind of their master. I shall therefore deem it a favor done to me if you order that. Although reaping the fruit of their transgression, they may return to my presence soon, and the time of their exile from my abode may expire before long. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranams.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. So verse number 13. So who would like to read this verse?
Divya Mataji.
ब्रह्मोवाच अथ तस्मौ शतीं देवीं ऋषिकुल्यां सरस्वतीं नास्वाद्य मनुद्रष्टानां तेषामात्मप्यप्यतः.
Sudha Mataji, translation.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, pranam.
Hare Krishna. Let us pronounce.
Translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Brahma continued, even though the sages had been bitten by the serpent of anger, their souls were not satiated with hearing the Lord's lovely and illuminating speech, which was like a series of Vedic hymns. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. So verse 14.
Anita Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
सतिं व्याध्याय शृण्वन्तो लघ्वीं गुरुवर्तघौवरां विघायागाधगम्भीरां नाविदुस्तच्चिकीर्षितम्. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you so much. The
Sindhu
translation.
Mataji. Sindhu Mataji.
Yes, Mataji. Read the translation.
Yes.
3.16.14. Translation by Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The Lord's excellent speech was difficult to comprehend because of its momentous import and its most profound significance. The sages heard it with wide open ears and pondered it as well, but although hearing, they could not understand what he intended to do. Read the purport?
No, Mataji.
Okay. Pranam Prabhuji, thank you.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. So the last one for the day, 16. 15.
Krishnamurti Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Te yoga maya yarabdha parameshta mahodayam prochuh pranjalayo vipraha pravrushtakshubhistatvatah tatvachaha. Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. And then the translation.
Shobha Mataji. Shobha Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam, Prabhuji and Mataji, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation based Bhaktivedanta Prabhupada. The four Brahmana sages were nevertheless extremely delighted to behold him, and they experienced a thrill throughout their bodies. Then they spoke as follows to the Lord, who had revealed the multi-glories of the Supreme Personality through his internal potency, Yogamaya. Should I read the purport, Prabhuji?
No, Mataji, we are not reading the purports.
Haribol, Dandavat, thank you.
Thank you so much. Dandavat pranams to all the people who are reading. Really appreciate to see a lot of enthusiasm in reading. So it's so nice. Thank you all so much. Okay. Umajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadam Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nitinamini Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschayata Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So these are the four verses that we will see. And then just to give you a snapshot of what is happening with these four verses. The very first verse, it talks about how the Lord is so anxious to get his devotee back, So there's so much of anxiousness that he is showing in that particular verse, which is, of course, it is giving an indication of the quality of the Lord. So there's so much of anxiety that he has. So we'll see a little bit on that. And then the next verse is talking about how the four Kumaras, they were not satiated. So this is a very nice, not nice. This is a term that we should be aware of what it means, being satiated and not being satiated. And then how in the spiritual world one is not satiated, but in the material we are actually satiated. So we'll try to see that a little bit on that. And then even though they heard the Kumaras, in the next verse we see that the Kumaras were hearing the Lord speak, but they could not make out what the Lord was saying. So why is that and how is that? So we'll try to do that. And then the final verse for today is about the happiness that one derives in Yogamaya and the happiness that one derives in Mahamaya. So Yogamaya and Mahamaya are synonyms for the material, for the spiritual world and the material world respectively. So we'll try to cover that. So these are the four main points in this particular verse. So we can get started. So before we do that, we'll see the background, a little bit of the background, so that we just have some continuity in the discussion that we have. And yes, before all that, I'm seeking the mercy and the blessings of all the devotees who are here. Kindly bless me so that I'll be able to do some justice to these wonderful verses, the wonderful chapter that we are seeing. And in doing this as a seva or a service to the Guru Parampara, for the pleasure of the Lordships and for my own purification. Hare Krishna. So, what is the title of this chapter? This is how the sages are being cursed, right? So what does it say? Jai and Vijay cursed by the sages. So that's the chapter that we are in. And the background, as you all know, is that the four Kumaras are going to the Vaikuntha Loka. And now, who are these Kumaras? They are actually realized boys. They are boys, young children, the four Kumaras. So that's the name Kumara. That means they are youngsters. They are kids. But they are kids in their appearance only, not with respect to their spiritual realization or their self-realization. So that is why these boys are actually described as Brahman realized boys. So they went to see the Lord, but what is happening here is they are not understanding what the Lord is saying. So in this particular shloka, we are saying that they are not able to understand. But sorry, before that, the background was that, of course, they went to this thing. They were seeing all the opulence that was there in the Vaikuntha Loka. And this opulence they were admiring. And then they also actually smell the tulsi leaf that is offered to on the lotus feet of the Lord. And that is a changing moment for them. That is the time when they actually become personalist. They completely understand. Their mind and their body actually changes, or rather there is some transformation that both their body and their mind undergo when they hear this, when they get the smell of the tulsi leaf. And because of that, what happens is from impersonalists, they become personalists. From jnanis, they become bhaktas. From dry philosophical speculation, they are actually understanding the bhakti process. They are able to comprehend the aspect of how the paraspara sambandha is needed, or the interactions are so important. So this is a changing moment for them. And that is something that we saw in the previous chapter. Now, after all this, as they are looking at all the opulences that are there in the Vaikuntha planet, then they come across, they pass many doors. I think out of the 6 doors they pass. And then there is this one door which is there, which is keeping them away from the Lord. And then they see that there are 2 individuals who are standing guard. So there are 2 Vaikuntha Vasis who are standing there. And their description is also given, so I'll not go into the detail. But then, so what happens is they realize that there is some amount of contempt or anger that is there in their faces, because they are small children and then they seem to be wandering around somewhere, and then suddenly they are appearing in front of the gate or the door, and then they want to go in. So this angers the 2 individuals. They are named as Jaya and Vijaya, and they are stopping them. So because they were stopped from going into the going inside to have the darshan of the Lord, actually the 4 boys become very angry. And then in their anger, then they are cursing, or they are about to curse. And that is when then the 2 doorkeepers, that is Jaya and Vijaya, they realize that they have done something wrong, and these are very elevated people. They are not just ordinary children who have kind of wandered into this place. I mean, that sort of a thing cannot happen or should not happen, because this is not the material world, it is a spiritual world, it is a Vaikuntha Loka. So nothing can happen without the consent of the Lord. But somehow they were not able to bring that particular thought in their minds, and then they stopped them, saying that these people are transgressing and so they should not be there. So sometimes that happens, right? You see some children coming too close to the altar or something, and then it's in the material world, then they are shooed away, or they say, no, don't do that, go away. Or they're told to go back and things like that, So this is what happened. But then when they are becoming angry and they are about to be cursed, they realize that they are no ordinary children, but they are elevated people. And so immediately they want to beg forgiveness. And then the Lord also comes out, because he also realizes what has happened. Then he comes. And then that is when he is actually giving darshan to the 4 Kumaras. And the Kumaras are actually seeing the Lord. Okay. Of course, the Kumaras are renounced individuals. So they look like little boys, like I said before, but they are perfectly renounced, and then they are properly realized. And they are very eager to see the Lord, that is Sri Hari. but they are stopped. And because they were stopped, they become very angry. And then, in fact, in the lecture that I was listening to, Acharya was saying that children generally are not restricted from going from one place to another. So if you stop a child from going somewhere, they can't comprehend that, So like we can see children can very easily gain access to any place. Like they can walk in, like in the neighborhood, a new person has come, suddenly a child might enter into that house. Just like that. But then the child gets a good reception also in a flat or in a house, anywhere. Somebody has moved in newly, then they walk in. Or somebody who's moved in newly has a child and that child walks in, then you definitely talk to the child. You put down what you're doing and then you want to just, speak to the child and then, continue. So the child is welcome everywhere, actually. So likewise, even a sannyasi is also welcome everywhere. In fact, I remember when, my son, when he was very small, when you go to a restaurant, then he used to go into the kitchen and all that, and then, he used to do a lot of things. I mean, they used to just take him and go. So like that. So in this way, even a sannyasi is not, he is also welcome everywhere. And they wanted to actually see the Lord, who is the most exalted, well-wisher of all the living entities. But because they were stopped, then they become angry. So here, I think we might wonder, why is this anger coming in? Vaikuntha Loka, they are self-realized and they are renounced, perfectly realized souls. And they are in the Vaikuntha, but still they become angry. So why do they become angry? In fact, here, Acharyas were saying that the younger brother of desire suddenly appears. So because they had a desire. What was their desire? They wanted to see the Lord. They wanted to see Lord Sri Hari. And because they wanted to see the Lord and then they were stopped, then they become angry. Now, younger brother of desire is anger. How do we know that? There's this particular verse in Bhagavad Gita. Kamesha, Krodesha, Rajoguna, Samudbhava. So, Kama is desire, Krodha is anger. And these two are the children of Rajoguna, which is a mother. So in the mode, in the Rajogun, then there is Kama, and then when that is when it is hindered, when you are unable to fulfill, then there is Krodha that comes in. So, but then, because the desire was spiritual, the Krodha is also spiritual. That is how the Acharya concludes. And it is not to be compared to the Krodha or the anger that is seen in the material world. Because in the material world, the desire is materialistic. And when that is denied, then there is anger coming in. So it becomes a materially motivated anger, which is not in the same category as the one that we are seeing for the four Kumaras. So this anger is not out of sense of a need for sense gratification or self-interest. We see that they are, this is an anger of a liberated person. So we can understand that anger is something that can manifest even in a liberated person. But that anger is not the same as the anger that is there in a conditioned individual. See, anger of an ordinary person is very abominable, like a karmi. You will feel very. You don't want to associate with a person who's angry. Whereas anger in a devotee or a realized person is celebrated. What is that example that we have for anger? The devotee who gets angry and then he uses the anger in the service of the Lord.
Hanuman, Lord Hanuman.
Yeah, so all of you know that. So there it is celebrated, it is discussed, and then it makes everybody so endearing because that anger was diverted. In the same way, here now we see that they become angry. But then in the next shloka, if you see, that is shloka number 13, it is said that they were not satiated with the what do you call that? One second. They were not satiated. They still wanted to associate with the Lord, because anger actually makes us go sick. Like, even when a person is very angry, they will not even be open to listen to common things, elementary things. They are so much blinded by anger, they say, right? That when that anger covers us, even small regular things, we might say no to it. If somebody is trying to say something which is actually practical and good, we will say no. If somebody is angry, even though like a kid or anybody for that matter, they are angry, they are hungry, then when they are said like there is something to eat, they'll say no. Even though they know that they have to eat and they know that they are feeling hungry, but still, because the anger is clouding them, they will say no to it. And they will retort back. They'll say no. So like this, we can very easily understand how anger actually camouflages, or it takes away our intelligence. It robs us of our logic, reasoning, and all of that. But in the case of the four Kumaras, that was not the case, because it says very clearly that they were not satiated. I'll just try to bring it up. Even though the sages had been bitten by the serpent of anger, their souls were not satiated with hearing the Lord's lovely and illuminating speech, which was like a series of Vedic hymns. So the Lord comes out and then he begins to speak. So because of this particular anger and the commotion that got created. So when the Lord came out and then he spoke, they actually were listening to the Lord. And this is, they immediately their anger was not manifested, or the effects of that anger was not seen. It immediately disappeared. And what happened? They were not satiated. That means they wanted to hear more and more. It is like immediately they are showing the aspects of how a transcendental person reacts to hearing the glories of the Lord. He or she always would want to hear more and more. So that is why they use this word satiated. They are not satiated. Satiation is a term which means that we get fed up, so to speak. Satisfaction is different. Being satiated is different. So satisfaction is there in the in spiritual things, like when Krishna was giving darshan, when Krishna was here in the material world, and then in Dwaraka as well as in Hastinapur, when he is leaving or when he is entering, everybody wanted to see the Lord. So they were satisfied that they were seeing the Lord, but they are not satiated. That means they are not fed up of that thing. They want to have more and more of it. Whereas in the material world, this quality doesn't happen, or these two don't come together. Like say, in the material world, we like something. Let's say we like a sweet. So the sweet is something that we would want to eat. So there is, and then when we eat it, there is so much of satisfaction in that because we like it. So when we eat it, then there is satisfaction. But then there is also satiation that comes in. So one sweet you have had, then the second one, then there is little less satisfaction. And then there is satiation coming up, which means that is increasing and satisfaction is coming down. So finally, there is a tip over that happens. What happens? There is no satisfaction in the sweet at all. We don't want it. In fact, they're so satiated with it that we are fed up with it. We'll say, no more. I don't want it anymore. So this is the quality of our cravings or what we desire in the material world. Whereas in the spiritual world, that is not how it is. That's how our acharyas have described it, where they say that there is satisfaction, but at the same time, we want to have or hear more and more. So this is a very good test for us to see whether we are doing devotional service with a materialistic point of view, or we are trying to be spiritual, or at least we are moving towards that. So if we are doing it from a materialistic point of view, then we would become satiated, or we will realize that we are losing interest. We'll realize that it is actually going down. I don't want to do it anymore. Or, oh, I have done so much, it's okay if I don't do it. No, it's not like that. So that means then there is this tinge of material thing which is associated with our seva. I mean, that's going to be there. I mean, we don't have to be disheartened because everything that we do is going to be like that. This is from a point of trying to understand how it is so different from in the spiritual plane. And in the spiritual plane, there's no satiation. And that actually will help us to understand a little more on the subsequent verses. And that is why I'm covering this. So now, anger again is a symptom, is a quality that is there in the material as well as spiritual. But then anger is different in the spiritual when compared to the material. And we saw that by the example of Hanuman. And then we are also seeing it by how the 4 Kumaras are actually angry, because the anger that they displayed is spiritual, because they were not satiated. They wanted to hear. Immediately, they wanted to listen to the Lord. And now, another interesting thing happens, actually. Kumaras are very realized, very intelligent, so much of knowledge that they have. But then, when they are hearing the Lord speak, you've heard that. I mean, this is whole conversation. The Lord is talking about so many things. He is talking about the Brahmanas. He is glorifying the Brahmanas so much. And then he is saying how, of course, even the purport Srila Prabhupada, in the subsequent, in the previous verses, I'm saying, how Srila Prabhupada talks about Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha, and then how the Lord is, and then when somebody is showing compassion to these people, then the Lord actually gives out his heart to them also. So there are 2 aspects to it. One is Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha, and somebody who's displaying that particular quality of showing some fondness to the cows or to the Brahmanas or to the weaker section of the society, like children, old people, or women, then the Lord actually becomes very endearing. I mean, they become very endearing to the Lord, or the Lord becomes very endearing to them. So this is the quality of the Lord that is being discussed. And then we saw how this particular quality is the quality of Bhakta Vatsala, because the Lord actually gives himself up to somebody who is aligning himself to the Lord, who's serving the Lord without any intention, or who's serving the devotee of the Lord, or who's serving those people who have knowledge of the Lord. Now, who's having knowledge of the Lord? It is the Brahmanas. So because we say, Brahma Jnana iti Brahmana. So now actually you have a situation where the 4 Kumaras are there on one side and Jai Vijaya are there on the other side. Now, who are these Jai Vijayas? They are Vaishnavas, they are Vaikuntavasis, they are devotees of the Lord. So they are naturally very dear to the Lord. And then who's the opposite party? So that is the Brahmanas. So the Lord is also Brahmana Hitaya Cha. So you actually have a conflicting situation. They both are against each other. And then the Lord has to come and mediate. And of course, he comes and mediates. And in the process of mediation, he is speaking, and he speaks so many things. Now, we have seen the import. I don't want to go into the details, but let us see the essence of what is being told by the Lord, and what is the effect that is having on the Kumaras as well as on Jai Vijaya, because all the 6 of them are present there. Now, each one of them, like Vaishnavas, that is the Jai Vijaya, they understand that the Lord is on my side, and then he is favorable to me, and he is speaking for me, he is saving me, he is defending me. That is quite natural, because he came, and then he is actually saying what in the next shloka? He is saying that, of course, they have made a mistake, and even though they have made a mistake, they have to suffer, but still the Lord is showing anxiety. He is very anxious to get them back quickly. So it is very comforting to Jai Vijaya to hear that. And then on the other side, he is glorifying the Brahmanas so much, and then he is talking about the glories of the Brahmana, and then he is actually speaking in a way that the 4 Kumaras feel that the Lord is actually on their side. Both of them are feeling that the Lord is on their side. So this is the quality of the Lord, which, of course, a normal mortal cannot do this, because when we are a mediator, we invariably, if you support one, then the other one gets upset. And then if you support the other person, then the other one will get upset. So this is a critical situation that we all understand. Like say, a parent and then the two children are fighting. So both of them are dear to the parent. But then sometimes, even with that dearness, then we end up taking sides, and then we try to put it in such a way that one is left a little satisfied, and the other one goes away happy. I mean, whatever be the situation, irrespective of who's right and wrong. But here, the Lord is not taking that kind of a mediator role. He is making both of them happy. In fact, that is why the Kumaras are saying they are not able to comprehend what the Lord is saying. In fact, they go on and then say, whether you are praising us or you are being angry with us, we are not aware. We are not able to make out. Even though they are so much learned, still they are not able to comprehend. So always the Lord is a incomprehensible person, chintya, beyond our comprehension. So even though somebody is so much learned, so these are wonderful qualities of the Lord that comes out, and the conversation that the Lord is having, so much is coming out here, and then so nicely it has been brought out by Srila Prabhupada and the puppets also. And then that's how then Prabhupada says, even though I am listening to you with rapt attention, I mean, they are Brahmanas, and then they have become Vaishnavas, so they have a double qualification, and then they know that they have to give all their ears because the Lord is listening. Even after having done all of that, they're not able to comprehend something. So that's the wonderfulness of the Lord, and that is the mercy of the Lord, the Acharyas say. Mercy, how? Because he is Samadarshi, he is not taking sides, and then he's so merciful that he doesn't want to antagonize or he is not pushing out one at the cost of the other. So both of them are dear. And then if you look at the four Kumaras, their consciousness is also so wonderful. They are able to identify this. They are able to see that, yes, we are not able to understand whether you're praising us or you're being angry with us. So, but a mixed consciousness person will invariably conclude that the Lord is praising me. He is taking my side. And then both of them will feel like that. So, and then when they are hearing the Lord speak, they are thrilled. They are ecstatic. Hair is standing on their end. It's the first time they are seeing the Lord. There's so many things that are happening to them. They're angry, even though they were angry. But because they carried that quality of not being satiated, which means that they were not angry on a materialistic plane, but on a spiritual plane. And because of which they were not satiated, so they listened to the Lord. And thereby they experienced all the thrilling moments. The ecstasy was there, hair was standing on their end, and all of that. And then they realized that it is actually the Lord who's showing himself up to them through the potency of Yoga Maya. So the Lord is using Yoga Maya to tell them about himself, about the quality of Vatsala, about how the Lord can do anything for them, and about how even when there is a conflicting situation, both of them are dear to the Lord. He very easily is able to connect with both of them and reach out to both of them. And it looks like both of them are, will think that the Lord is being taking their side, their respective side. So this is the aspect of Yoga Maya which is being highlighted. Compared to the opposite of that, which is Mahamaya, which is pertaining to the material world, we don't have this kind of a situation. There, duality is there. So it is like for and against, or positive or negative. So you have to take stage. You can't remain neutral in the material world. So there is always the positive and the negative aspects which are always there, and then you end up taking sides. So this is the nature of Mahamaya or the material world. Whereas the Yogamaya potency is so much that even though there are some seeming disagreements that come, even in the Vaikuntha planets, there can be some disagreements that might come, or there could be a difference of opinion, like in the case of Jaya Vijaya and the four Kumaras, because they were in the Vaikuntha planet or on the Vaikuntha Loka. But still, even though if it comes up, still, because of the potency of the Yoga Maya, that doesn't escalate, or it doesn't get carried forward, or it doesn't get into a bigger, what do you call, it doesn't lead to more severe consequences. Whereas in the material world, it's not like that. Any small spark is enough, any small discontent is enough to result it into a big fire, like a big argument, or maybe a big fight, or any of those things can happen. Whereas in the spiritual world, it doesn't happen like that, because the Lord's Yoga Maya potency is there, which makes it look like the Lord is favorable to them, and thereby they are able to forgive and move on, and that comradeship is established very quickly. Then it goes on. So the Lord actually is, what is he doing? He's glorifying the Brahmanas. Even though they are angry, it says, they are worthy of worship. So that's the conclusion, and that's a lesson for the people in the material world. So, and Brahmana, of course, when we say Brahmana, we are not talking about a person who's born in a Brahminical family, but a Brahmana who is by his gunas, who's like a Brahmana. That is, and who has the jnana of Brahman, Brahma jnana iti Brahmana. So these people, even though they are angry, they are still worthy of worship. And that is a position that the Lord is giving to anybody who's carrying his knowledge, or even the knowledge of Brahman itself. Not even his complete knowledge, but knowledge of Brahman. For them itself, he's so much his heart goes out to them. So special they are. And then, like I said before, of course, the Lord is very anxious to get his devotee back. And so he is coming down, and then he's requesting the Brahmanas, after glorifying them and then praising them. Then he's telling them that, please, I know they have to undergo this punishment because they have offended you. And they have offended you means it is actually me who has offended you. I am responsible for this. So he's taking complete responsibility for the fiasco that has been created. And thereby, immediately, the four Kumaras, their heart is softened because of that also. And then he is actually, the Lord is saying that, please, you should be merciful enough to allow me to have them back. Because the curse is to make them go to the material world. Now, material world, they can go, but then they can be there for a very short duration or be there for a long duration. So he doesn't want them to be there separated from himself for a very long duration. So he says, please facilitate that in a way that they can come back very quickly to me, because I know they have to suffer, so the curse will work, but then they'll have to come back. So in this way, he is showing eagerness, and that's something that is endearing or pleasing both. So, and this is why they were feeling a little confused. And then we also saw how the four Kumaras, as well as the doorkeepers, that is Jaya and Vijaya, they all are able to have a kind of a, everybody is happy net, because the Lord is showing himself up, and then he is actually speaking for the Vaishnavas, that is Jaya and Vijaya. At the same time, he is glorifying the four Kumaras, so which is the Brahmanas. So in this way, we are seeing how the Lord is mediating, and so wonderfully he is handling the situation, which makes one want to hear more and more. It's not an ordinary mediation. It's not an ordinary fight or a misunderstanding that happens and then somebody is coming and mediating. No, this is happening in the spiritual realm. And then in the spiritual world, with the Lord himself as a mediator. So it has so much of, mercy of the Lord that is coming out in this particular instant. And whoever is reading about them or hearing about them, the Lord has already promised, or he has said that you just hear about me or my pastimes or any of the things that the Lord has said, anything associated with the Lord, then it becomes a spiritual association. And this kind of thing is very nicely coming out in this particular chapter, which is talking about Jaya and Vijaya and how they are cursed by the sages. So Cursing, if you look at it in a very superficial way, it looks like, what is this? They are also behaving like an ordinary human being. They are supposed to be elevated, self-realized. But what is this? So this could be, we might conclude in a very immature way if we don't get to the bottom of what Shrimad Bhagavatam is trying to bring out, or if we don't get to the bottom of what the Acharyas are saying, or what Srila Prabhupada is trying to say. So, so that is why it becomes very necessary for us to hear from the authority and understand it in the way things are, and not jump to conclusion, seeing some mundane examples or materialistic examples and trying to compare these incidences to some mundane incidences that we might have seen somewhere, where there is anger and there is cursing and so many things that are happening. So this is actually bringing out the glories of Jaya and Vijaya, as well as it is bringing out the glories of the four Kumaras. And by doing that, actually the Lord's glorification is automatically happening, because it is the Lord who is actually responsible for this whole thing to happen. And then, because we know that, I mean, if the Lord did not desire it that way, then nothing will happen. So, be it for the past time. So, we might have heard so many reasons why Jai Vijaya acted in that way, why they had to curse, because it was the effect of Yoga Maya. True, all that is true. Because the Lord wanted to have a fight, and they know he cannot have it in the Vaikuntha. So, Jai Vijaya understood the mood of the Lord. So they behaved in this way. So there could be so many different explanations by so many acharyas. But the matter of the fact that comes out very clearly is how the Lord is so endearing. And then he is so much, like Samadarshi. Like, I mean, he is not a Pakshapati. That means he is not favoring somebody unnecessarily. Everybody is equal to him. Especially the Vaishnavas and then the Brahmanas, and how he is able to mediate and bring about a situation which makes both of them happy, contented, satisfied. So the interaction with the Lord, seeing of the Lord, even if it is having some amount of negativity in it, like anger in this place and cursing, still it becomes glorious for those individuals. And at the same time, it becomes glorious for us also, because we are associating with the Lord again. So this is the aspect of the Lord, which is, what do they say? He is like, he is not dvanda. He is like, whether the Lord is saving somebody or killing somebody, it is the same. So any type of association with the Lord, it means that that person will advance, or he moves up from the position where he is. So it is advancement for that individual. So in this way, whether the Lord does or does not do, or he might do anything, but then still the result is the same. And the result is that it benefits us. So these are some of the points that I thought I'd just mention here. I know we have time, but these four shlokas talk about this, and I didn't want to repeat the other aspects that you all have already seen with respect to what the Lord spoke of, or how he interacted. The essence was that he glorified the Brahmanas, and then he brings out a very important point where he says that even if the Brahmanas are angry, they are still worthy of respect. And the same way, Vaishnavas, even if they do something wrong, the Lord is always forgiving, because a Vaishnava is very dear to the Lord, and he understands that something happened which should not have happened, but that's okay. We will move on. That's how so much of optimism is there, so much of looking forward is there, so much of forgiveness is there. All these qualities come out. It's a mix of all these qualities. So it becomes a little difficult for us to comprehend the first instance. But then if we surrender, and then if we are open-minded, and then if we are able to read the puppets or listen to the lectures with an open mind, then we can understand how all of this are coexisting. There is anger, there is satisfaction, there is increased desire to hear about the Lord. All of these are present in this conversation, though it did not look like that in the first instance. When we realized that they were stopped, because the Lord came running, then he took the blame, and then anyway, then everything got mediated, and then they went away. So it might look at a very what do you call, gross level, it might look like it's just a small story which doesn't seem very significant. Actually, what Brahmaji is saying is that this particular incident that happened is a momentous incident. Momentous means that which is having an effect for a very long time. So this cursing and then the Lord coming out is a very momentous incident that happened. It has a very momentous import. That means it has an effect that lingers for a very long time. That is how then it has got into the pages of Bhagavatam, and then it gets discussed by everybody. And also, yeah, I think these are some of the points that I just wanted to just say. And then the happiness that these 4 Kumaras experience is more than the happiness of Parameshti. That means the happiness, Brahma of the material world. The highest happiness in the material world is that of the happiness in the Brahman platform, or in that way. So now the happiness that they are experiencing by the association of the Lord is far, far more than the happiness that they were exposed to before. And then they realize that this is how the happiness which is in the Vaikuntha planet, the happiness which is in Yoga Maya, is far, far superior than the happiness which is in the Mahamaya or in the material world. So these are some of the aspects I'm just what we'll share. I know we have another 10 minutes, so maybe if there are any comments or questions anybody has, we can take them. So otherwise, we can conclude the session. So, Mataji's, Prabhu's, please go ahead.
Hari Bol. Thank you so much, Prabhu. It's a short class, but so many things to learn. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
Suma Mataji. Suma
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat pranams, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat.
Prabhuji, my first question is that, Prabhuji, like they being the impersonalist, how do they reach the abode of the Lord, Prabhuji? Even to the gates, 6th gate they were standing in. So they were impersonalists. So how could they reach there? Only
That's a
after
good question. But the smelling, yeah, after getting the smell of the lotus leaf offered to the Lord, then they had a clear understanding of, and they became personalists. That is what it says. So being impersonalist, actually, impersonalists are not in the material world, actually. They are in the Brahman. The Brahman is there everywhere, in the material world as well as in the spiritual world, right? So and that is what it says. See, this impersonalists have this Brahman liberation. And Brahman liberation is, I mean, if you see the description, they say that the soul who's Brahman realized or who's liberated and who's got merged in the Brahman is actually seeing all the activities of the spiritual world. I mean, in the purports of Srila Prabhupada, we can see how they are seeing everything. They are seeing the Paraspara Sambandha, they are seeing the interaction. But they are not able to participate in that. They are feeling they are eternal. There is this Sat potency is there. Chit is also there, but then Ananda is not there. They're not able to experience that happiness because they are not able to participate in that. So because of that, then they continue like that for a very long time, and then they have regret, and then they come down again. They are given another chance where from the Brahman, being situated in the Brahman platform, then they have to come down to the material world, take a body, and then get into the Bhakti Yoga, and then have another type of liberation. Because we know that liberation is of many types, no? 5 types of liberation. Sahajya, Swarupya, Salokya, Sahasti, Samipya, all these. So the Sahujya liberation is the Brahman, merging into the Brahman. All the others are having some kind of an interaction with the Lord. Samipya, Swarupya, and then Swalokya, all of that, being in the planet of the Lord, having the form of the Lord, or being near to the Lord, any of those. But whereas Sahujya is being in the Brahman. So when you are in Brahman also, you are able to see and you can see, it's not that you cannot go to the Vaikuntha when you're in that kind of this thing, what do you call, when you're self-realized, and then you know that you're not this body and all that, so you're fit for liberation. But that liberation is a liberation which is taking you to a place, to the Brahman, where you can see all these things happen, but then it doesn't. So that can happen in Vaikuntha also. No, they'll be there in the Brahman of the Vaikuntha, and then they are able to see all of this, and then that's how then they come down to the material world. So it is quite possible. Now, I don't know how it works or how they were able to interact. All of that, don't ask me. But then, when a personist can see these things, is what is my understanding based on what I just told you now. Yeah, I don't know if that answers your question, but that's how I would look.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, can we understand it that way, Prabhuji? Like it's all the Leela of the Lord, because in the
Yes,
spiritual.
yes, all of this is the Leelas of the Lord. Yes, ultimately it is the Leela of the Lord, because Yogamaya itself is, the Lord wants it in a certain way, and Yogamaya does it or ensures that it happens, so that then the Leelas are performed, which gives maximum pleasure to the Lord. That's all. So everything is Leela. But within that Leela, we are trying to go a little technical and trying to understand what it is. It is like, we know there's a drama being enacted. We know it is a drama, he's just falling. But still you try to do certain things in a very realistic way. Like you come up with something where a gun is fired, then blood suddenly comes from that person. All this is staged. We know he's not dying. But still so much of time and energy is spent to make it look as realistic or something, so that the emotion, the rasa, when the audience views it, comes out. So eye for detail, no? So in this way, we also want to understand more about the Lord. So there's nothing wrong in those. I mean, not wrong. I mean, it's natural for us to ask those questions and then try to understand it more, so that we are able to extract the rasa out. But ultimately, everything is Leela only. So it is like somebody is looking at the drama and not feeling any emotion and saying, hey, anyway, it's a drama. He'll get up and go. Yeah, it's okay. We don't conclude like that, right? We see it for the emotions behind it and what they are portraying and how they are portraying, and then we try to praise them, or we are able to identify with them, and so on and so forth. So at an emotional angle, when you see a drama, is wonderful. But if you look at it in a technical way, then at that time also it is wonderful, because technically somebody is so technically, you'll see, oh, look at the way the stage is arranged. So much of engineering has gone into it. Wow, and all that. And somebody who is bereft of these two, and then he just tries to see it. Anyway, it is just a drama. So we don't want to see it as saying, anyway, it's a Leela. No, it is a Leela, yes, but then it has all of these, and it gives pleasure to the Lord. So we also take pleasure, or we become happy because it is giving pleasure to the Lord. That's just my thought around generally when people say, anyway, it's a Leela. But yes, we would like to know more about the Leela. I hope that's what you were wanting to say. Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Sorry to take
Hare
your time, Prabhuji, but
Sorry.
is my understanding correct, Prabhuji? Like Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, like those who come to my abode will never return back. So Jaya, Vijaya are always already in the abode of the Lord, Supreme Lord. So and you also said in the class today, like there is anger in the spiritual world also. So whom to be angry with, Prabhuji? Like all are devotees of the Lord, and what to say, Prabhuji? Like Jaya Vijaya knows maybe in the heart that this is the Leela of the Lord. They want Lord Supreme Lord wants to experience the chivalry rasa. So is that knowledge given to them or something like that, Prabhuji? Because being angry to the devotees
No,
of
the knowledge will not be given, but they will be given. Yogamaya works in a way that the emotions will come out, and then whereas they know that the Lord is supreme, like how the emotion of anger came out, but then the moment they saw the Lord, they knew He is the supreme, and they paid complete attention to what He was saying. The four Kumaras. That's how. So they know who's the supreme Lord, and then but then the emotions come out. So it's not like in a very what do you call? Theoretical way or in a very logical way, they'll say, okay, let me play this role now. No, it's not like that. They are made to act like that. And that's what Yogamaya does. And that, like Yashoda Mai, so we know even in the material world, when Krishna came, they were not under Mahamaya. They were all under Yogamaya. So Yogamaya is such that they forget the supremacy of the Lord, but then the emotions and the bonds are remaining intact. So the interactions continue, and that makes it that much more relishable for the Lord. And so it goes on like that. And then the devotees are very happy to play those roles. So it's not like they're aware. It's not like Mother Yashoda knew that, oh, now I am, he's the Supreme Lord, but then for his satisfaction, now I'm playing the role of the mother. No, she was the mother for the child. That's all. She didn't know it was Krishna actually. Or, she didn't know that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of God. He is my Krishna. That's all. The emotion was there. So, in the same way, even in the Vaikuntha also, it is the same, because it is the same Yoga Maya which is playing out there, where they interact with this thing. But then they also realize that, the emotions are there, and at the same time, Yoga Maya can keep changing. So, momentarily, it might remove, like how it removed for Yashoda Mai. It said, she thought for a moment, oh, is he really the Supreme Lord? Then she said, no, nothing. No, he is my kid after all. Because Lord wanted to continue with that Leela. So then again, Yoga Maya covered and then continue with the relationship. So like that. So everything is controlled by the Lord. And then everything is the Leela of the Lord. And Yoga Maya assists in that. So this Yoga Maya is a concept that we have to understand. And then opposite of that, or what is here in the material world, is Mahamaya. So Mahamaya also does the same thing, right? Similar thing, right? It helps us to forget Krishna so completely. But Yoga Maya doesn't help us to forget. It helps us to not. It helps us to forget, but then not completely. In a way that it becomes conducive for the Leela to happen. In that way, the forgetfulness happens, and that is the role of Yoga Maya.
So nice, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Small clarification at your end, Prabhuji. Even if by chance one commits an offense in Vaikuntha planet, he is protected by the Lord, as it is stated in Purport 2, Sloka 2, Prabhuji.
Yeah. So he is protected by the Lord. Means the Lord is not protection actually.
Okay.
See, the Lord actually says that even though they have made an offense for which they have to suffer, let them come back quickly.
Okay.
It is like punishment is there for the wrong that has happened. So he says, no, I shall therefore deem it a favor done unto me if you order that although reaping the fruit of their transgression. So although they have to reap the fruit of their whatever transgression they have committed, because of which they got cursed, so they'll have to go through that. But let them return my presence soon. It is like, okay, you have to punish the child, but okay, don't make him make the punishment too long. Like, okay, for 1 hour, let him not speak to anybody, something like that. Give some concession. But the punishment is there. Why? Because we want to give a message to the kid that, okay, you will be punished because you did wrong. So that aspect is still there. The Lord himself is watching that. He says, I shall therefore deem it a favor done to me if you order that although reaping the fruit of their transgression, they may return to my presence soon, and the time of their exile from my abode may expire for long. Don't make it too long. That's what the Lord is saying. He's requesting.
Prabhuji, and then in continuation, the word atikramam, they have used the word atikramam. In Kannada, ಅತಿಕ್ರಮಂ ಎಂಬ ಪದವು ಭಕ್ತನೊಬ್ಬನನ್ನು ಅವಮಾನಿಸಿದರೆ ಸಾಕ್ಷಾತ್ ಭಗವಂತನನ್ನು ಉಪೇಕ್ಷಿಸಿದಂತೆ ಎಂಬುದನ್ನು ಸೂಚಿಸುತ್ತದೆ. ಸೊ ಈ material world, yes, so we were committing so many mistakes in that spiritual world. That is what about the fate of the people who were like us? We were living in material world. To what extent we were ಅವಮಾನಿಸಿದರೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ನನ್ನ ಕನ್ನಡ ಇಂಗ್ಲಿಷ್.
No, see, I understand. I think you are saying because Jaya Vijaya, the Lord, because that mistake what was done, it was offending the Lord because they were part of the Lord. They are associated with the Lord. So they are actually offending the Lord. And so they got punished. So now you want to know What type of offense we have done that we are here?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah, because so much, they came only for a short duration, but we are here for so long. That means we must have done something really very, very bad. So much of offense we would have done.
Grave
So
mistakes.
the only offense that we did was that we wanted to enjoy independent of the Lord. We wanted to forget the Lord. So the Lord is there and the servants are there. So we were like the servant who said, I don't want you. I want to be on my own, independent. That means that is the biggest offense. Here, Jai Vijay were not like that. They knew the Lord. They just wanted the children not to enter. They thought they were some small kids, so they said, no, 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 you cannot go. The Lord is inside. So they still respected the Lord, accepted the supremacy of the Lord, Jai Vijaya. All that was intact. Our case is totally different.
Yes.
We are here because we wanted to be independent of the Lord. We wanted to, so much of offense we have done. So we wanted to forget the Lord, or we didn't want Him in our equation of happiness at all. He said, you be separate, I will be separate, like that, like a son saying, I will go separate. So that's an offense, right? So that is why we are here for a long time. But still the mercy of the Lord is there, so He wants us back. So like how the father, even the son goes out of the house, He still wants him back. So like that.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So no more questions. We'll end the session. Okay,
But
Prabhu, thank you.
the punishment they got was severe. No? They had to take 3 births as demons.
Yes. That is a punishment. No, they chose that. No, they were given a choice also. There.
Yes,
So
whether they can be
this when
7.
then they realized that the Lord can have. See, multiple things happen by their thing. So Lord, when He does one activity, then multiple things will get benefited. Like that, one curse and then using it for even the curse, they analyzed it in a way that it could be used for serving the Lord. So they came as demons, and then the Lord came, and then He fought, and then He fulfilled His desire to fight. So they were serving the Lord even as demons in one way. So it is a Leela. That we cannot repeat. We cannot consider our actions as like that. So because these are like the souls are different. That is why they say they are ever liberated. They are always, there is no fall down for them. They came down willingly. Like being sent to a jail and visiting a jail are two different things, no? You can go and visit a jail, but being sent to a jail. So we are sent to this material world. They came to this material. They visited and then they went. So in one way, even though they were in like a person who is visiting a jail, even though he is in the jail premises, he is not a convict or a culprit. The same way, even though those people who are part of these leelas, when they came, they are not conditioned souls. They were actually liberated, like Arjuna. That is what our acharyas say, right? Arjuna is a liberated soul, but he is asking questions in a way that it helps the flow of Bhagavad Gita and so on. Many such examples we know. All this lines up so nicely when we understand this particular concept of how not falling down or always situated there or they just visited here. That's all.
But Prabhu, actually they didn't do such a bad offense because they were doing their duty. They can't let everybody enter. Maybe they didn't recognize the 4 Kumaras.
Yes, Mataji. That is why the Lord was so merciful to them, no? So He just said that, okay, you made an offense, it is me, and then He takes the blame because Vaishnavas are very dear to Him. Like we have our children, the child is very dear to us, he or she makes a mistake. We take the blame for it. We still side him or her, and then we try to tide over that, right? With the intention that there is some learning correction that happened. That is fine. But then the Lord also is like that. He says that He very clearly says they made a mistake, but don't blame them. I am to be blamed because they are my servants, and then they are acting on my behalf, and then on that platform they made a mistake. It is as good as me making that mistake. This is what it came in the earlier verses, which was covered.
Yes.
So in this way, the Lord is taking it up. He is still speaking for them. He agrees that they have to be punished because it was a mistake, but he is requesting give a short punishment. And then he's speaking in such a way that Brahmanas, that is the 4 Kumaras, he says like, okay, he is praising them even though they were angry. That being angry is ignored, and here stopping them is ignored. So both the places the Lord has ignored the faults, and then He has made it in a way that it is acceptable to both of them. Both of them eventually become very happy. Happy in the sense like feel like the Lord is with me.
Yes, yes, Prabhu.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's the main point here. Actually, the Lord, how He mediates.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a wonderful thing. Actually, this is a wonderful verse. Actually, I was not able to put it across so well, but yeah, you can hear that, and then that comes out
Diplomatic.
very nicely.
Diplomatic.
Yeah.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Dandavat Pranam, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Bol, Hare Krishna. So we'll do Vaishnav Pranam mantra and we'll end the session.
Yes.
Thank you, Prabhu. Vancha kalpitarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya cha patitanam
pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta-koti Vaishnavrinda ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gurudev ki jai, Grantaraj Shrimad Bhagavatam ki
Jai. Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna to all the devotees. Shall I end the session, Prabhu?
Yes,
Hare Krishna,
Mataji, please.
Prabhuji.
Thank you all
Hare
so
Krishna.
much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Dandavat
Prabhuji.
Pranam.
Hare
Please.
Krishna.
Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna.